Good afternoon, this is Jacel and welcome to the corporate. This afternoon, we will be talking to Miss Stella Berry of Adludio, and we are actually very fortunate that she will be spending time with us. Hi Stella, good afternoon.
Great, it's lovely to meet you.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your time. I know that you're so busy also according to the Vika, and I'm so glad that at last. How are you?
Oh, I'm very good. I'm very grateful to have been given the opportunity. So thank you so much for your time as well. And yes, I'm very good. Look, I can't really complain. I'm based in Singapore. You based in the
The Philippines, yes.
Yes.
We're not so familiar with Adludio. Maybe you can give us like a little background. We only saw some information through the web.
Of course, more than happy to. So at Adludio, we are a global creative tech company. We are an independent company that actually launched in London in 2015.
Okay.
And we basically specialize in building and delivering premium interactive creatives for our partners. So we're the pioneer of touch-enabled advertising. And what we do, we marry consumer engagement data with mobile-first technology to help us create advertising formats that are intuitive to the way we interact with our devices. So the way we consume content nowadays is completely different to on our mobile devices. I mean, to the way we consume content on TV. TV, which is a very passive medium. With mobile, we're constantly swiping and touching and we touch our phone over 2,000 times a day, which is a very scary fact. But what we believe at Adludio is there's a clever way to interact with a mobile audience by creative units that are intuitive, so always swiping, and we're inviting the audience to interact with the brand and the brand message.
Yeah, actually, I guess that's the best way now, especially at this pandemic. What you have is actually an excellent medium.
Absolutely, because we find that we now work across every single verticals, because we find that when it comes to interactive with this very unique audience on this first screen, any sort of marketers, we want to have that kind of time with the consumer, spending time with their brand, engaging with their brand, in a very playful manner.
Yeah.
And actually, for the little story, Adludio in Latin means play.
Okay.
So that's what we believe advertising on mobile should be. It should be very playful, and it shouldn't be instructive to the mobile user.
Okay, thank you so much for that information. It's actually very informative, especially for us who are not so familiar. But when we've actually checked your website, we were very impressed on how it works, especially with what you're doing through AI.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, of course. So we have a proprietary technology that we call SIAM. And what this technology does is that it actually compresses the file so much that the files become super lightweight. And because they're super lightweight, they're super fast, which means that there's no redeeming time when a consumer or a mobile user is on mobile experiencing an Adludio ads. And I think this element is very important, especially in this part of the world that still relies on 3G. We want to be able to provide the best brand experience to consumers. And when you have in mind that the average adult attention span is 8 seconds, which is another very scary fact, we have to, you do not want the ads to be kind of loading or taking too much time, because it's going to be intrusive then to the user, and then you're not going to be providing the best experience on both sides.
Yeah.
And then this technology, Cyan, we've actually made so much development onto it, and we've been able to integrate the physics technology onto Cyan, which means that now all our units can have that element of gamification, if you like.
Oh, that's good. That's good news. So let's now go to the travel marketers, which was actually mentioned by the Vika.
No.
Yeah, it's something new, and it's very interesting. So we wanted to find out more about it. So the question that we have is, in your perspective at this pandemic time, how is actually the effect of pandemic to the travel marketers, especially in the travel industry? Because the effect is really something for everyone.
That's 100%. I mean, the lack of consumer spending is one of the biggest threats of the travel industry. And we've seen that the travel industry has actually been one of the hardest hit industry this
Yes.
year during this pandemic. So the inability to operate flights, the lack of demand for flights, and all the follows that we've seen, salary cuts, a lot of people have been
Yeah.
let go. I mean, tens of thousands of jobs have been lost this year, and further cuts are likely to come as the crisis is prolonged, because let's face it, things in Europe aren't looking very positive. While UK, Germany are back in lockdown, there's lockdown in Italy and Spain as well. So things are slowly reopening up here in APAC, very slowly. So many airlines have had to offer so many refunds to customers. They had to cancel trips. They had to offer alternatives,
Yeah.
such as vouchers, or like the ability to postpone their trip. So the impact on the travel industry has been major from a marketer standpoint, but also from a consumer standpoint. From a consumer perspective, it's been a very challenging year. It's been really hard to kind of plan ahead or not plan at all, and you never know where you stand, because you have all these restrictions are kind of popping up. And then of course, if you look at the economy, I mean, tourism plays a huge role in the global economy. I mean, it's been estimated that it will take a good 3 years for the whole industry to recover and to get back to pre-pandemic levels.
Wow, that's actually not so good news for everyone. If it will take like 3 more years.
Yes, 3 more years. Yes.
The question that I have now is, how can you invite or entice the conservative marketers? Because definitely there are conservative companies, but
Yes.
who want probably to try it, but a little bit hesitant. How can you convince them?
So, look, over the last, how many years has it been since launch in 2015? 6, 7 years. We've been collecting this data. We've been focusing on the how. So how do people engage with brands and brand messages on mobile devices? We've been collecting that data, and we've been using that data. I mean, again, I reinforce on the fact that this is, first-party, non-personal data. So we completely GDPR compliant. And thanks to this data, we are enabled to predict the best engagement or the best creative angle for our partners. And I think the best way for us to kind of convince them to use Adludio is just to show past campaigns. We've worked with so many clients and marketers in the travel industry, and we've had incredible results, incredible campaign performance from an engagement standpoint, from a click-through rate standpoint. And I think I'll start with that. I'll say that, showcasing the great work that we have done with some of their maybe main competitors, and also reinforce the fact that we are the experts of understanding and predicting how people will be engaging with brands on mobile devices.
Your program basically goes directly to the marketers, correct?
Sure.
Okay. In the Philippines, are one of the main problems now, though you mentioned that what you have can actually work with 3G or the
Yes.
Siam. Yes. Okay.
Correct.
Because we have a very low internet here in the Philippines. Sometimes the signal's not so good, and we're very lucky if we can have 4G or LTE, and most of the time, depending on the place, it's 3G. With the 8 seconds that you have mentioned regarding the retention, is there a way that you can entice the consumers by providing a very powerful campaign in less than 8 minutes? 8 seconds, I mean.
Seconds.
Yeah.
Yes. So again, it's just linked back to who the marketer wants to reach, who their target audience is going to be. And then it's going to be about us creating this audience segment that we're going to be targeting. And it's about us utilizing our proprietary algorithm to make sure that we are monitoring the campaign and we're optimizing towards people that are most likely to engage with the brand. So when we run campaigns, we have a team of very talented campaign managers. They're absolutely amazing. And they will be monitoring the campaign the way it's running and optimizing accordingly. But we can now layer that algorithm. So all our ads and campaigns are served on the trade desk, so they serve programmatically, I'm sorry. But the trade desk enables us to layer the CTE algorithm. So with the algorithm, there's been so much development with that from our data scientists. And this is that algorithm that enables us to be able to redeem, and with Cyan, with the algorithm, to redeem the campaign very fast to the right people at the right time. And we are able to actually guarantee up to 15% engagement rates, which is
Wow.
our benchmark.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
huge.
It's
It's
a
huge.
very good one.
Yes, I mean, the industry is like less than like 1%. I mean,
Yes.
so I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
That means you can actually customize through layering, as you have mentioned, and 15% is a lot. That's actually high.
Yes, 15% engagement rate, and we benchmark between 2 to 4.5% click-through rate, because we find that once we've captured that right audience and that audience has engaged with the brand, we find that the higher the engagement rate, the higher the click-through rate, because people will be engaged, so they're more likely to continue the consumer journey and land on the site. And ultimately, that's what any marketers want. They want us to be able to drive to their site. They want to see people spending time not only with a brand, but then showing interest, genuine interest.
Yeah, actually, that's around 2 seconds, 2 to 4.5 seconds. Is that what you have mentioned?
Oh, the click-through rate, so it's 2.2 to 4.5% is our benchmark for click-through rate. So the click-through rate is calculated on engagement, which means that we have an engagement rate of up to 15%, but up to 4.5% of the people that have engaged will be landing on a site, which is, again, huge performance.
Yeah. What is the new normal now for the travel marketeers, given the pandemic? Yeah.
Oh my God, where do I even begin? I mean, look, to be completely honest with you, I think 2 months ago, no one would have predicted. Was it 2 months ago, 3 months ago? I don't know. I can't, like, all the days are merging into one. It's all very confusing. But who would have ever predicted the flight to nowhere concept? People have woken up, they've packed a bag, they've gone to the airport. The first one to have launched that was in Taiwan. People have boarded a plane. They were on a plane for 3 hours, and then they landed right back to where they took off.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
A lot of Qantas did the same thing in Australia, and like flights got completely sold out. Now in Singapore, I mean, you see, am I allowed to name airlines? Is it okay to name the airlines, or like?
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Okay, because I don't want to like create any controversy. But here in Singapore, for example, and I've experienced it myself, Singapore Airlines. I'm one of their customers. They've, on their newsletter, they've invited me to experience Singapore Airlines meals at home. So there is a service to experience Singapore Airlines food in the comfort of my own home. Or I can even go to Changi Airport and I can just experience the dining experience in first class of a Singapore Airlines airplane. So is that really the new norm? I don't want it to be the new norm. Between you and I.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised.
And you know, like, I really wonder, this is just sideline, yeah? Let's open brackets, but I cannot help but wonder, if I do go ahead and order a Singapore Airlines meal delivered at home, do you think it's going to come in the little, like, all the little compartments with a little foil, and then, you know, the water in the little cup? Like, how far are they going to push this? But I think they have to, because it's part of the experience. So, I mean, that is a very long answer to your question, but I just don't think anyone would have predicted that this could be a new norm, and anyone could have predicted that people would actually like snap their tickets, you know, $700 to go on a plane to go to nowhere. And that raises so many other questions. It's like, how far do marketers have to go to be able to adapt to the consumer's needs? What is this consumer's new needs? Who would ever thought that people would want to do that? And then the third point is like, what about sustainability? Sustainability is and climate change is it's a huge subject that we cannot ignore. And especially our generation, we have to change what's been done in the past to be able to provide a better future for future generations. And when I hear about a concept of like a going to nowhere plane, I just cannot help but wonder how this could even be acceptable, considering that during this pandemic, climate change, like scientists have actually seen that the planet has gone cooler because there hasn't been that many people on the roads, there hasn't been that many flights, etc. So there are so many elements that actually should be taken in consideration. And my question to any marketers in the travel industry is like, how far are you prepared to really nurture your customers at the detriment of so many other important subjects?
Yeah, that's actually a good one. You mentioned about the to travel to nowhere. I've seen that one, as well as I was surprised with what you have mentioned regarding Singapore Airlines bringing or delivering the food to your place. That's really something.
Yes.
Though,
It's just so weird, you know. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, continue.
no, that's actually okay. I'm amazed that they came up with that idea. That's something new, and if someone wants to enjoy the first class or the business class service, they can just go to Changi Airport. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, yes, yeah, that's correct. You can book it. You can go behind the scene and visit the like go and speak to co-pilots and like go behind the scene and see inside the cockpit, and like you can do all those different things. And yeah, so it is a thing. And I've got no idea what's next. I have no idea what's next, because I really didn't think that that could ever be a thing. So I've got no idea what's going to be like, but it's fascinating to see the level of creativity that some marketers have going back to the main challenge has been to connect and contact their customers. That has been their main challenge. And yes, and they've gone really far and they've been successful at it.
Yeah, that's actually a very good one because the experience, this is still something that they're actually promoting with their customers. They're trying to relate and continuously probably connect with the customers by doing those things.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And my last question probably to you, Stella, would be how can Adludio continuously actually assist or bring confidence to travel marketeers and including the customers?
Sure. So I would say that for marketers, look, whatever the campaign's KPI are, we will always have the perfect answer with regards to which creative angle should be considered or what sort of engagement we should apply to the creative. Again, like, unlike a lot of vendors out there, we've invested so much energy and time and passion into that proprietary technology that really enables us to advise marketers to the best of our capacity and ability. And now, obviously, this is not our role to advise marketers on what their best marketing strategy would be, but I think if there's one thing that I think they should take into consideration is the cautiousness that now consumers are taking, especially with regards to travel, making sure that they're going to be pushing a creative, but then going beyond that creative, there's going to have a different level of customer service that is going to be able to really accompany the consumers from start to finish. Maybe as I said, feeding them more information about, every single government sort of restriction out there to kind of help them through their research. So maybe furnishing some sort of like extra added value and information that they probably did not need to do before.
Yeah.
And also, like, I'm actually very curious to see what the future of travel is going to be, not so much post-pandemic and once we'll be able to travel freely, but I'm thinking about there've been so many kind of like, now everything is being done remotely. I think there's like a new category that's almost being, you used to have business travel and leisure travel. They're talking about bleisure, which is a mix of business and leisure travel, because now so many companies, including myself during lockdown, announced that we could be a working from home company. So I can work remotely anywhere. I could join you. I can't join you tomorrow in the Philippines, unfortunately, but if I wanted to, I could. So I think marketers also need to take in consideration this third pillar of new travelers, of travelers that can go and travel and work anywhere in the world, and that will make the decision to do so. Yeah, I mean, that was like a very interesting report that I read in McKinsey & Company the other day about like all this, like, different kind of like insights about, travelers that can to travel, but of course they are restrained, the working from anywhere trends that could permanently blur the lines again between leisure and business travel. So there are a lot to take in consideration, and I think it's just going to be a baby step. It's just seeing how things are going first.
Yeah, but thank you so much for that. But the good thing is we're actually moving forward.
We are.
Yes.
I think so. We are.
Yeah. If in case that someone is interested from the Philippines to reach Adludio, where can they actually shoot an email or?
They could reach out to me, or they could reach out to our managing director, who's Benjamin Pavaneto. I can just share any contact details that you may want, but he's our managing director. He's based in Taipei. He relocated to Taiwan last year to develop the northeast part of Asia. So we've recently opened offices there, and I'm myself based in Singapore, as you know, so they could reach out to any of us.
Your office is basically in Singapore now, and then you mentioned Taipei also. Other than Taipei and Singapore, where else are you?
Yes.
You have an office in Asia?
Yes. We've got offices in Hong Kong as well.
Hong Kong.
So we've got a team in Hong Kong, yes.
Okay.
And then in APAC, we've recently partnered with InSkin Media, so they are official resellers in Australia.
Okay.
We also have resellers in India, and then we work with resellers as well for like the Middle East.
Okay, so you have Middle East, India, almost all over.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Everywhere.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Wonderful, and I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. I've learned so much from you, especially for someone who's not so familiar. Thank you, Devika.